fired up. Get to the Rude Guest Hotline. Welcome in Boomer Esiason. Hear him on WFAN. Follow Boomer at 7 Boomer Esiason. Boomer, what's up, man? Thanks for making time for us. Boomer, you there?
I am here, yes.
Right,
I had to unmute my microphone. Sorry about that, guys. As I said, JP, great to talk to you. Brian, great to talk to you. And hopefully you guys are ready for a great season down there in Washington.
Oh, yeah. We hope we can get a repeat of last year, Boomer.
That would be
you know
unbelievable.
how tough that is, huh?
Yeah, but, think about everything that Washington went through, right? They got the new owners, they got the new coach, and then, of course, they got the most important ingredient, and that is the quarterback that is super special, seems really dedicated, and I would expect that there's not going to be any letdown in Jaden Daniels this year, much like C.J. Stroud went through last year. I would think that the way that this kid goes about his business, that we should expect exactly what we saw last year, if not even better.
I tend to agree with you, Boomer. What do you make of Jaden's game? And after watching last year how good he was, what areas do you think he can even grow this year?
Whatever his mom tells him to do. You know what I mean? That's going to be the most important thing. Seems like she's the most important person in his life. But, the things last year that, he probably will not do as much this year is he probably won't rely as much on the athleticism. He'll see the defenses. He'll read the defenses. He'll feel more comfortable in the pocket. I'm sure that his communication, as Brian knows, is going to be a lot better and a lot stronger, a lot more demanding. I mean, it's his team. And, he may not have realized that immediately simply because he was a rookie and wanted to be somewhat respectful to everybody, because he really seems like a respectful young man, which is great. But now it's his team, so he can be more demanding, and he can be even more leader-like than he was last year. And it's not always about the way you speak. It's more about the way you play, the way you go about things when things don't go well, how you pick up your teammates. And, this is what every NFL team wants. They want the next Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. And Washington's fortunate enough to be able to have one of those guys who really, honestly, I don't really see him in a lot of commercials, don't see him doing a lot of off-the-field stuff. I see him really, hopefully, honing his craft, which is a man who is committed to becoming great. And he sees the numbers out there. He knows the amount of money that's out there for him to get it when it comes his time. So I would think that he is going to be focused on being great, and that's all you could ask for.
Boomer, you named those 4 quarterbacks, and we know that that's the upper echelon, and those guys are good every year. So I hear people say, well, you know what, now the defensive coordinators have film on that quarterback. When you get guys like that, they have film on those defensive coordinators too. And just as much as the defensive coordinator can figure out something to mess with them, they can figure out something to circumvent that. How do you keep that going? You play quarterback, and you understand that next year they come with different wrinkles, and you got to bring a different wrinkle.
Well, I know one thing. The Giants try to get faster on defense. They tried to bolster their secondary and their pass rush. And the reason that they did that is because when you look at the quarterbacks in their division, Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, and Jaden Daniels, those guys have been running roughshod over the Giant defense for the last 10 years. So the Giants have gone out of their way to try to get faster on defense, try to get their pass rush to be more explosive, and try to get their secondary a lot better in coverage. And if they do have the pressure that we all expect that they will generate with Abdul Carter and Kayvon Thibodeau and Brian Burns and Dexter Lawrence, then the back seven should definitely benefit from that. So that's, for me, that's from the Giants' perspective. They know they're playing 3 athletic quarterbacks, 3 tremendous quarterbacks. So they had to do everything they possibly could to improve their defense first and foremost. And then secondly, for the Giants, what they have to do is they have to stay away from the turnovers. They barely got any turnovers last year, and they were turning the ball over consistently every week, which was just basically putting them in a hole from the beginning. So they're going to be a much more competitive team, I believe, this year, and one of the reasons for that is trying to match the speed that Washington has, especially with Jaden Daniels and the secondary playmaking abilities that he has.
Boomer, what do you think they'll get for the Giants out of Russ Wilson this year?
Well, I think what they're hoping for is just stability. I mean, Daniel Jones, he was here, for 6 years, I think, and it was flatline. He never really took a leadership role. As I was just talking about Jaden Daniels growing into being a leader, Daniel never really had that gene in him. That he wasn't a boisterous guy. He wasn't a guy that, it's not that they didn't respect him. They loved him, but he just wasn't a guy that was making plays at the right time. And I think what they want from Russell Wilson is they want the deep ball, because he does throw a very good deep ball, and they do have Malik Neighbors, who's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, especially going deep. So they want that, but they also want somebody who's not going to turn the ball over and kind of settle things down and keep the game close in the fourth quarter and then go and win it in the fourth quarter. And the Giants lost a bunch of one-score games last year, and it was just mind-numbing how they would lose in the fourth quarter, or the other team would pull away because the quarterback would either fumble the ball or throw it away or make a bad play, and due in large part to injuries. But I think they want stability from Russell. I don't think it's going to be 350 yards a game. I think it's going to be a 210 to 230 yards a game, maybe 2 touchdowns, an interception, and maybe they score 24 points and they try to win 24-21. That's what I think is the roadmap for the Giants this year.
That's it adds up, because there is talent there. We're talking with our friend Boomer Esiason. You can give him a follow at 7 Boomer Esiason. Listen to him on WFAN. Watch him on CBS Sports Network. Boomer, I want to ask you about the game tonight, because we're all fired up just to have NFL football back on our televisions, a big NFC East battle, Eagles, Cowboys. But before we do that, I want to check in on all the great work you do with your foundation. I know how busy you are just with the media stuff, but you always make time for the Boomer Esiason Foundation, just trying to help where you can.
Well, I thanks for asking. My son Gunnar is 34 years old now, and when he was diagnosed with CF back in 1993, he wasn't expecting to make it to 19. So the fact that he's 34, he's living life, he has 2 children that he's the biological father for, is nothing short of a miracle. And that miracle basically came in 2018 when finally the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, in conjunction with our foundation and others around the country, was able to raise enough money to find that drug that was going to unlock the life of a CF kid, and 90% of the kids are benefiting from this drug, and Gunnar is proof positive that their miracles can happen. So I always say that Gunnar's my hero. My grandson, the firstborn grandson, Casper, is our miracle, because if we didn't do, and people around us weren't doing what they were doing to raise money for CF, it would never happen. So we are flying high. Gunnar is flying high, and we're still doing all the things that we've done over the last 30 years, and we'll continue to do that.
Love that, man.
A lot of players do a lot of work and do a lot of charity work, but when it's your kid that's benefiting off of it, first of all, you have to be very, very proud of that as well, man.
Yeah, Brian, he, in the NFL gave me an unbelievable platform. So I was still a player in 93, retired in 97, and then went into the media. The media gave me the amazing platform as well to tell the story. ESPN did an E60 on Gunnar on Christmas Eve this last year, and that was Casper's 3rd birthday. And, the E60 captured who Gunnar is, the patient, and then the kind of man that he has grown up into. So I always say I never won a Super Bowl, had a chance to win one. Unfortunately, Joe Montana beat us at the end. But in the Super Bowl of life, the fact that my son is a father himself, 34 years old, there's no greater feeling than the feeling that I had when he got married and he told me that his wife was pregnant. That was a feeling that I don't think I'll ever forget, and I would imagine that's what it feels like winning 5 Super Bowls. So that's my Super Bowl, and I'm certainly very proud of it.
It's funny, we had Solomon Wilcots on maybe last week or 2 weeks ago and asked him about that Super Bowl, and it was still very fresh in his mind, I would say.
Yeah. It's fresh in all of our minds, unfortunately.
Yeah. What about tonight? You've got the Super Bowl champs, the Eagles, hosting the Cowboys. Dallas just traded away Micah Parsons. Jerry Jones is doing Jerry Jones things. The Eagles look loaded. On the surface, this doesn't look like it's going to be much of a game, but we know life in the NFL is rarely
the NFC East.
Right, it's rarely what it seems.
That's right, and I'm sure Brian agrees with me when I say I'm happy for Micah Parsons because very few players truly get what they want. He ultimately wanted a trade, and he wanted a big contract, and he was able to do that and secure a huge amount of dollars. And this is something we fought for all the way back since 1987 when we went on strike, and in '82 as well. But and we're starting to see players be able to use and leverage the system so they can get what they want out of it, thankfully. And I appreciate that. So I'm happy for Micah. I think it's probably better for the Cowboys because I do think he was somewhat of a distraction with the podcasting and all that other stuff. I'm not saying he was unpopular in the locker room, but there was some separation between he and other players. There's no question about that because as popular as he has become, and he had some great takes on things. You know, he's going to be great in TV if he wants to do it one day. But I would say that maybe they're better off without him. And the reason I say that is because there could be more harmony there. And one of the reasons why they lost all the games they lost last year is because Dak Prescott missed 9 of those games, and 2 of those games fell against the Eagles. So the Eagles ran roughshod over the Dallas Cowboys. They couldn't stop Saquon Barkley. And I wouldn't be surprised if this game is a lot closer than the 8.5 points that Philadelphia is laying here tonight. So I like the Cowboys to cover. I can see Philadelphia winning like a 27-24 game or a 24-21 game. But 8.5 points, man, that seems like an awful lot. Division game, opening game, and the Dallas Cowboys dealing with what they were dealing with, and Dak Prescott now feeling the pressure to have to really perform at a very high level to keep up with the Eagles' offense.
For sure. Boomer, I would sneak one more in. Obviously, your greatest professional success was with the Bengals, but you also played with the Jets. You're a New York guy. What do you think of the team the Jets have put together with Justin Fields at quarterback?
You know, it's not great. I wasn't a big fan of the Justin Fields signing. They gave him $40 million for 2 years. I know that they needed a quarterback, and they wanted to move away from Aaron Rodgers. When Aaron Rodgers went on Pat McAfee and said he had never been released by a teenager before, and he said it half-jokingly, he was referring to Brick Johnson. That was Woody Johnson, the owner's son. So I knew that, you know, eventually Woody was going to say, "You're out of here." And that's basically what happened. So I think most coaches would have loved to have kept Aaron Rodgers. He actually played reasonably well last year, and I think he'll play well for the Steelers as well this year. But they are rebuilding, resetting. Aaron Glenn, a former teammate of mine, who was under Bill Parcells when Bill Parcells took over for Rich Kotite, knows what needs to be done within the building to change the culture. So he's in the middle of doing all that right now. I just don't, you know, you have a rookie offensive coordinator in Tanner Engstrom. You got Justin Fields in his 4th offense in 4 years. You have a lot of moving parts, not one great wide receiver, not a lot of playmakers other than the running backs. They have 3 pretty good running backs, and they just lost their best offensive lineman for the rest of the year to a triceps tear. So, and that's Elijah Vera Tucker. So I see them maybe 5 wins at best, maybe 6 if things went right. But I just don't see them being a very good football team this year. And maybe next year, Aaron's culture reset will take hold, and they'll be a little bit more competitive.
Boomer, thank you for the time, man. Go Terps. Malik looks like the real deal.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that, too, by the way. And well, we'll see when they get to the Big Ten. But they always start out strong, for sure. But Malik certainly looks like a great athlete. Maybe I'll go on record as saying maybe the greatest athlete Maryland's ever had as a quarterback. How's that?
I like that. Boomer, thank you very much for the time, man.
Okay, guys, have a great day and enjoy the games.
All right,
thanks very much. Boomer Esiason, check him out on WFAN, CBS Sports Network, and give him a follow at 7. Boomer Esiason, doing great work with his foundation. We're going to tell Coach Loxley what Boomer said about Malik in about an hour.